Hello, welcome back, welcome back. This is How to RPG, and today it's all about character creation. Now, for those of you who don't know what we're doing, well, it should be obvious in the title. We're going to make a cleric for Pathfinder 2nd edition. But you do see underneath there, Dungeons and Dragons 4e. We'll come back to that sometime, probably not for a while though. And Dark Heresy, when I finally know what I'm doing here, we'll have a go at this. But it's all Pathfinder for today. I'm going to put up a poll. Feel free to take part in that poll. I would recommend grabbing some food, some drink, getting comfortable. Get ready because during my live streams, I always get my audience to build the character for me. Your input is important. There will be some rolling off if there are different decisions getting made. But yeah, I'm hoping that you enjoy this. So yes, settle back and I will start the show. Okay, let's go. Hi, welcome to How to RPG. My name is Fred Wheeler and today I want to talk about role-playing games. We're doing some character creation today. This is all about creating a cleric, or the cleric class for Pathfinder 2nd edition. Okay, character creation is something that I enjoy doing once a week, and I find that my audience enjoys it and so do my patrons, and so I've made that sort of part of our program here. Now, to make it really easy and simple for you, and simple for me because Pathfinder, I've played Pathfinder 1st edition, I've never played Pathfinder 2nd edition, but character creation for Pathfinder 2nd edition has a very different structure to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a piece of software, and you'll find a link to it, called the Wanderer's Guide. Its layout is very much like D&D Beyond for Dungeons and Dragons 5e. It's very simple to use, it's very intuitive, and you will see me walking through this process with you today. Hi Shiner81, how are you? So while I'm getting my phone ready, let's get straight over to this website so you can see what it looks like, and we'll get started, shall we? And right about here, okay, I can see this, that's good. Now, this particular website allows you to make 6 characters, and after that you would have to pay for additional characters. It's in a beta version, so you don't have to pay for this at all. There is no money taking place. You don't have to, if you want all the options, they're all available to you for free right now. So I like that fact. It may not stay that way. Now, one of the things you will discover with this particular piece of software is you must have an account with Google. You need to sign in with either Google or Reddit. And this is one of the things I don't like about this website, is that I have to use a Google account to actually get into it, which I would much prefer to have a dedicated account where I can just sign up and make a new account on their website. But you can't do that. And that's really the big drawback for me. I like the idea of having some sort of control over access that another website has to my own personal information, and access to my Google account is a bit of a problem for me. But it is free, so I kind of get it. Okay, so we're going to make a character. We're going to go straight here to create character. It's a little plus sign here at the top here. You go to the tab characters when you want to build characters, by the way. I have 4 characters. I've deleted 2 just recently, and you can have up to 6. Okay, just waiting for it to load. Now, it has an ABC system where you'd have step A, step B, step C. Makes it very simple. We're going to be building a level 1 character, so right here you can see there's a drop. You may not be able to see the drop down bar, but you can select the level of your character that you can start with. We'll start with level 1. I'm going to get you to create a character name while I go over and just set up some of the stuff. Let's see. Hashtag. What is the character's name? Alright, for those of you who are here, you let me know what you want to call the character while I go through the basics here. So first off, you'll see ability scores. They all start out at 10. So that you just don't touch those, just leave them alone unless your game master or dungeon master has given you specific instructions as to what you should be putting in here or what you're starting with. You always start with 10. We're not going to use the advanced player's guide at this point. We're just going to use the core book because there's so many choices otherwise. The game mastery guide, we're not going to use that either. We're going to leave it alone. There's a lot of other things I can click on, all these additional supplements that have options in them that you could use if you wanted to. We're not going to do any of that. I'm going to leave auto detect prerequisites. This means basically if I make a mistake and I don't fill in the section I'm supposed to fill in, it will remind me and explain to me what I need to do. That's very helpful. And then class archetypes, we're going to turn on class archetypes because that just gives us a little bit more to do. Okay, so we have a name for our character. And scam for caster. I feel like oh no, it's not that. It's there we go. Scarin Forecaster. There we go. Now we've got a character name. Okay, so that's done. So then we just go next. We just go to the blue arrow, and it'll take us to step A. This isn't even the first step. This is just getting into it. Okay. Step A is ancestry. Step B is background. Step C is select our class. So that's how it works. So we're going to select a ancestry. Hashtag pick an ancestry. Okay, now the ancestries available to you are, we haven't been changing these around very much, so we have dwarf, elf, gnome, goblin, halfling, human. So you pick one, I will put it in. If there are more than one selection, then by all means I will do a roll off with my dice. Should that happen today, but that may not happen today. We'll see. Now, for those of you who are looking at this and thinking that's not a lot of different races, that's not a lot of different ancestry is just race or species, and you might be thinking that's not a lot of choices. No, there are many different races that you can select from the Pathfinder system. They have many splat books, so it's not that there aren't a lot of options. I've simply restricted it right down to the core rulebook. And in the core rulebook, there is only... Okay, so we're going to go with a goblin today. In the core rulebook, there's only these 6 options. That's it. Okay? So it explains how a goblin works, how our boosts work. We're going to have to make a few changes here. What happens when we level up. So let's confirm. Okay, goblin is in. All right, so we need to pick a heritage next. So I'm going to explain to you what the heritages are. Hashtag pick a heritage. Now, what are the heritages if you can't see the drop-down bar? There is the Charhide Goblin, so Charhide, if you want to be Charhide. There's the Iron Gout Goblin, so Iron Gout. Razor Tooth Goblin, the Snow Goblin, or the Unbreakable Goblin. Unbreakable Goblin, people. That's right, you could be an Unbreakable Goblin. Snow Goblin, Unbreakable Goblin, Razor Tooth Goblin, the Iron Gut Goblin, and the Charhide Goblin. So these are heritages. These are just essentially, I guess you could say, within the Goblin ancestry or race or species, these are the different cultures that exist. That's really all it's trying to indicate. So once somebody has selected what they want, I will put that in. Shiner 81, I look like you're going to be doing a lot of the decision making today. If you are not familiar with my channel, you only need to be subscribed to my channel for 5 minutes, and then you can start typing into the chat, by the way, and making choices. Now, there are a few other things that we're going to have to do as well after we've done the heritage and we have a heritage to go in. I'm not going to go over what each of these things do because it would just take too long. We can go over that after. Really, I don't think it matters. It's just to demonstrate the process, okay? We're going to have to do an ancestry feat. So we're going to have to select an ancestry feat after we do this. And we're also going to have to boost one of our ability scores. So the ability scores started off at 10, but as we pick up stuff, we go from there. So Shiner81 has said Snow Goblin always forecasts the snow. Very good, very good. There we go. So we've got our Snow Goblin. And we're going to pick a ancestry feat. So I will tell you what they are in a second. But let me just type in here. Hashtag pick an ancestry feat. Now, when I mean feat, I mean like a special ability. It's not like your feet on the end of your leg. It's not that. It's not a foot. Okay, it's not feet. It's FEAT. Special ability in a role-playing game. I'm sure many of you know this. So what are they? Burn it. So in other words, you get to burn stuff, I guess. City scavenger, goblin lore, goblin scuttle. There is Goblin Song, which is an action to use, apparently. There is Goblin Weapon Familiarity, which I always struggle saying. There is Junk Tinker, Rough Rider, and Very Sneaky. So let me repeat those again, and you tell me which of those you would prefer to have. And I will plug them in. Burn It, City Scavenger, Goblin Lore, Goblin Scuttle, Goblin Song, Goblin Weapon Familiarity, oh god, jeez, Junk Tinker, Rough Rider, and Very Sneaky. Now with your ability scores, you'll notice that the ability scores have already started to change on the side here. They were all 10 and now they've adjusted. So because we're a goblin, we get a +2 to our dexterity. So it's gone from 10 to 12. Because we are a goblin, we get a +2 to our charisma, so it's gone from a 10 to 12. But because we're a goblin, we also get a flaw. So instead of our wisdom being 10, it's dropped down to 8, so it's deducted 2. Very sneaky. Of course it is. That's what we want. We want to be very, very sneaky. So we're going to be playing a cleric. Clerics use wisdom for their spell casting. We get to boost one of our ability scores. And wisdom is one of them that we can boost if we want to. So hashtag what ability score do we boost? Now the choices available to you are wisdom, intelligence, constitution, or strength. Because we've already had a boost to charisma and dexterity, we cannot boost any of those. Okay, now what does the boost look like? Well, it's going to be a +2 to whatever ability score we decide to select. And we're going to be doing this again when we get to our background, but we'll do this twice. And when we get to our class, when we do our ability score boosts, our class will give us 4 ability boosts that we select. There are some ones that are given to you as a standard, but we'll go over that as we move forward. So an ancestry right now makes us, goblins are small. They have a language common, goblin, and there are a few more that we'll have to select, but we'll go into that very shortly. We have a speed of 25 feet. And right now we have 6 hit points, but it's really that doesn't really matter. Our hit points are going to change once we get to our class. Wisdom sounds good, right? Well, let's do wisdom. Okay, and we get dark vision as our sense. So we've done all the sort of choices there. We're done with section A, that's ancestry. Now B is background. Sorry, my voice is starting to break. I do apologise, people, but winter here in New Zealand, I don't do very well at this time of the year. Anyway, so pick a background. Here we go. What would I do without you, Shiner81? What would I do? Okay, so I'll read out the backgrounds. You tell me which one. Acolyte, acrobat, animal whisperer, artisan, artist, barkeep, barrister, bounty hunter, charlatan, criminal, detective, emissary, entertainer, farmhand, field medic, fortune teller, gambler, gladiator, guard, herbalist, hermit, hunter, labourer, martial discipline acrobatics, martial discipline athletics, merchant, miner, noble, nomad, prisoner, sailor, scholar, scout, street urchin, tinker, and warrior. So one of the things you'll notice is that the core book for Pathfinder 2nd edition offers you a lot of backgrounds. There's many backgrounds on offer for you. So again, let me go over this from the very beginning, so you know what they all are. Acolyte, and they exactly what they sound like is what they are. Okay, acolyte, acrobat, animal whisperer, artisan, artist, barkeep, barrister, bounty hunter, charlatan, criminal, detective, emissary, entertainer, farmhand, field medic, fortune teller, gambler, gladiator, guard, herbalist, hermit, hunter, labourer, martial discipline acrobatics, martial discipline athletics, merchant, miner, noble, nomad, prisoner, sailor, scholar, scout, street urchin, tinker, and warrior. Okay, what have you got here? Charlatan. This little snow goblin is forecasting snap. Okay, all right. How's it going? Prepare, cook, and survive. How are you? Sneaking enough to get around with all snaps. Right. Okay. Let's do this. Let's do the charlatan one. Let's pick that. So it tells us some information about it. We select it. We now get to boost two of our ability scores are going to get boosted. So hashtag what two ability scores do we boost? And you will make some choices. I will tell you what. Yeah, here we go. So first off, we can't select the same one twice. So we can select intelligence, charisma. So we can select strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. We get 2 boosts. So yes, you could boost your wisdom and then again boost something else. I'm going to need a lozenge. Sorry about this, people. Oh boy. That's better. Okay, let's try a lozenge, see if that helps me get through this. Now, so far, our wisdom, which is our spellcasting ability score that we would use with a cleric, has gone from being an 8, which was a minus, it was going to be a penalty basically with our ability modifier. It's now standard, so we probably want to keep pushing up wisdom, and then something else. It's really up to you. I don't think it really matters too much. Clerics tend to get heavy armor proficiency, so yeah, a few options to be had here. You'll notice that you are trained in deception, in terms of the deception skill, and underworld lore. Okay, and you gain charming liar as a skill feat, which basically means you're going to be good at lying. That's how it works. Yeah, pardon me. So, and what are we doing so far? So far, we're all good. So far, we're all good. So, I'm sure between the two of you, you will have decided what we want to boost. What are we going to boost? They've got 2 ability scores to boost. As I said, strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. These are our options on the second one. The first one is either going to be intelligence or charisma. So, yeah, make a decision, and then we'll go from there. Wisdom and strength. Okay, so we can go wisdom, but we can't do wisdom and strength, unfortunately. It doesn't allow us in this background to do that. Okay, so the next boost has to be either intelligence or charisma. If that makes sense, okay. So with this particular background, there are some restrictions. I found that this Pathfinder is pretty good at not restricting you to too many things, but there are certain things it does restrict you to. Charisma. Okay, well done. That's it. We got it. So we got charisma. Next, now that we've done that, we've done our choices. We don't have to do anything else with this one. We move on to class. You don't have to pick the class because we're going cleric today. and we get a whole lot of different things, all very cleric-y, right up to level 20 if we were playing to level 20. Okay, so we've got to make some choices again. We're going to pick some skills. You get to select 2 skills. So let's pick some skills. Hashtag pick 2 skills. Okay, now what skills can you select from? You can have acrobatics, arcana, athletics, crafting, diplomacy, intimidation, medicine, nature, occult, performance, society, stealth, survival, and thievery. Now we already have underworld law as one of our skills. We already have religion, and we already have deception. Okay, so you have to pick some skills from that list. And since you probably can't see that list, I'll read it out one more time. Acrobatics, arcana, athletics, crafting, diplomacy, intimidation, medicine, nature, occult, performance, society, stealth, survival, and thievery. Now the skills we already have, we're already trained in perception, we're already trained in religion, if you were wondering about that. We are already equipped with training in simple weapons, unarmed attacks. Yes, it's all on, yeah. It's all on China. And then once we select our skills, we're going to boost 4 of our ability scores. Okay, again, we probably want to push wisdom up again if we can, and then we can start sort of selecting some other stuff that we think would be appropriate. We will also be making another selection, so we're probably going to need at least 3 skills by the looks here. Yeah, so make it 3 skills, not 2. We get a bit more stuff. We've got a divine font we will have to select very shortly, and that should be roughly about it. We should have everything that we need at that point. So right now our strength is 10, our dexterity is 12, our con is 10, so we could probably push our con up if we wanted to, and our intelligence is 10, our wisdom is 14, and our charisma is 14. So I feel like right now this cleric is going to wind up being possibly really good at being the face of your party. Performance, stealth, and occult. Good. Nice. Performance. Stealth. There's something. And we'll grab this one here now. And you said occult. Right, got it. Next, let's boost these ability scores. Right here. We need 4 ability scores to boost. So hashtag. What 4 ability scores do we boost? Now again, I'm going to remind people, when you boost your ability scores, you can't just select the same one 4 times. Okay, so we couldn't go wisdom and then go and pick wisdom again, because it's going to go red. So no, that's not legal. So we can't do that. Okay. So you have to pick 4 different ability scores to boost. They will go up by a certain amount. And I'll just wait to see what you vote for. And then once we've done that, we will select our divine font, which is actually just 2 choices, which is pretty simple. We will still have to select spells. At first level, your cleric will get, I believe it's 5 cantrips. For those of you who are thinking, hang on, what do you mean 5 cantrips? Yes, in Pathfinder, clerics are considered to be good enough that they should be allowed to have, starting out at level 1, 5 cantrips. This is not Dungeons & Dragons 5e, where you wind up getting very few cantrips, and yet the sorcerer and the wizard seem to be better at doing this sort of stuff than anybody else. Okay? One of the things I do like is the fact that they have acknowledged that clerics are a full caster and should have more access to cantrips. But then I have a thing about cantrips. I'm of the opinion, so charisma, Thank you for that. Wisdom, charisma, dexterity, and we're going to boost strength. Okay, good. So we're going to choose a divine font. I'll let you know what they are. Hashtag, let's go. Select a divine font. Now, I don't know what they do. Let's not worry about it. Let's just pick something that sounds cool. One is called harmful font, and one is called healing font. So I think it's pretty obvious what's going to happen. Is one is going to cause harm, and one is for healing. So you have to decide whether you want to cause injuries or harm to others, or you want to focus more down on healing rather than harming. It's a pretty obvious choice there. So nothing too complicated there to figure out. So again, back to the spell casting, which we'll sort out in a second after we've done the divine font. If it's not clear again, I'll repeat them. There's harmful font and there's healing font. Pretty self-explanatory. Just tell me which one you want me to put down. We also get 2 first level spells, but the Cleric has this sort of odd sort of arrangement where you get some additional spells based off sort of your charisma modifier. I think it's your charisma or your wisdom modifier. I think it's the wisdom modifier if I remember right. Just make sure I grab this book here and have a look here in front of me. I was checking it out just a little while ago. Here we go. Okay, healing. Let's do healing then. There we go. We got it. Now, divine spell casting. We're going to do this in a second. We have selected pretty much everything. We should be ready to move on. And so we will go to the character sheet, and it will build it all out for us. So you can see that this is pretty self-explanatory. It's pretty easy for you to figure out how to build your own character. Even if you've never played Pathfinder before, you should be able to build a character with this. Okay, so we have pretty much everything here. We're going to have to get some gear at some point. But what I think we'll do is we'll select our spells first. So let me just go over the things we have, and then I will explain a little bit about our selection process. So be prepared. A lot of the spells you'll be familiar with if you've played the game of Dungeons and Dragons. Pathfinder is really just a clone of Dungeons and Dragons, so it's very similar. Okay, so our perception is a +6. We have 14 hit points. We have a class DC or difficulty class of 13. We have 1 hero point because all characters have 1 hero point. We don't have to make any adjustments. There's no little yellow triangle with an exclamation mark here today, so we've got everything right today. Saving throws, +8 to the will defense or saving throw. We've got a +5 to our reflex saving throw, +3 to our fortitude saving throw. Our strength is a +1 in terms of its modifier. Modifier for the dexterity is +2. No modifier for constitution. No modifier for intelligence. There is a +3 for wisdom in terms of our modifier, and charisma +3. All our skills are calculated for us. We do not need to figure them out. They're all done for us. We are proficient with simple weapons and unarmed attacks. We have unarmed defense, but we're going to move forward with this in a second. Don't you worry. We'll deal with a bit more stuff. Skills, divine attacks, divine DC, our languages. Okay, so let's go to spells and do some spell selection. So right now we have no cantrips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We should have 5 listed here. We should have 2 first level spells listed. So let's select some spells, and there are empty slots here for us. The whole idea is you actually have to slot them into these little spots here. So let's do the first one. I think if we go, is that search? Search. I think that's a search. And I want cantrips. So what are the cantrip options? You want a healing one. No. Okay, so let me just write down select some cantrips, and then we'll go for it. Oh, turn over book. Okay, so hashtag pick 5 cantrips. I will read them out to you. Now, in terms of what's a cantrip is a 0 level spell. You can use it an infinite number of times. You don't ever run out of the spell. Okay, so first off, Chill Touch, Daze, Detect Magic, Disrupt Undead, Divine Lance, Forbidding Ward, Guidance, No Direction, Light, Message, Prestidigitation, Read Aura, Shield, Sigil, Stabilize. Now for a Cleric, you'll notice that there are more cantrips available to you than Dungeons & Dragons 5e. I like this as a design approach. I like the fact that, you know, you can get a fairly robust spell with lots of different uses called Prestidigitation, for example. It'll have very much the same sort of application as what you're used to from Dungeons & Dragons, because it's based off that. Lots of different things you can do with it. I like the fact that you get access to it and you are a Cleric. Because one of the things that really sort of hampered you as a Cleric is, one, you didn't get access to, you know, Minor Illusion or Prestidigitation, but you could get Guidance, which Guidance is quite often one of the best cantrips out there. But there's such a small list when you look at what's available in Dungeons & Dragons 5e. Pathfinder gives you a list which is almost double that size. And I really like the fact that's the case. Chill Touch is basically, where is it? So while I'm waiting for you to, I'm just going to go over some of these spells while I'm waiting for you to select. It's a touch spell, and you target one living or undead creature. Okay, Prestidigitation, Chill Touch, Guidance. Okay, so that's 3. That's a good start. We'll add that one. Prestidigitation, Guidance. We want to select 2 more if we can. Notice you can pick up Detect Magic as a cantrip. Divine Lance, that's fine. We'll take Divine Lance. I think you would find that you wind up using Detect Magic a lot. I know there's a temptation to rely on the wizard. If you have a wizard in the party, they can deal with Detect Magic. But, you know, now, while I'm waiting for you to sort of decide what your last one's going to be, Divine Lance. You unleash a beam of divine energy. Choose an alignment your deity has, so chaotic, evil, good, or lawful. You can't cast the spell if you don't have a deity, or your deity is true neutral, so don't have a true neutral one. Detect Magic, okay. So it's basically, this is a ranged spell attack against a target's armor class, and it's going to do 1d4 plus your spell casting ability modifier. Now you might be looking at this and thinking, geez, it doesn't do very much damage. But in this, look, it's a cantrip. It's not supposed to do a lot of damage. Okay. One of the things I have a problem with 5e is cantrips do too much damage. They are trying to keep pace with a whole lot of other things, which doesn't make any sense. Okay, so Detect Magic. So we've got our 5. And can I... Yep, there we go. So we just take them and plop them into the empty spots. It's working today. Good. Divine Lance. Ah, come on. I got that one in there. Detect Magic. Didn't go in the right one. Let's try over here. There we go. Prestidigitation. Can I aim? There. Cool. And then the last one is Guidance. Can I get it to squeeze in between? There we go. So they're in. Whew. Talk about a tricky one. Right, next we need to do our slots for our level 1. Or our empty spots. I wouldn't say they're slots, but okay. Let's grab this. We're going to go to first level spells. I'll tell you what your first level spells are, and you tell me what you want to have. And there's a few. Okay. Air Bubble, Alarm, Bane, Bless, Command, Create Water, detect alignment, detect poison, disrupting weapons, fear, harm. There is heal. There is a spell called heal at first level. Lock, magic weapon, mending, protection, purify food and water, ray of enfeeblement, sanctuary, spirit link, and ventriloquism. Okay, so let me go over them again, and you decide what you want. We need to select 2, so let me just type this in. Pick 2 first level spells. Let me read them out again. They are Air Bubble, Alarm, Bane, Bless, Command, Create Water, Detect Alignment, Detect Poison, Disrupting Weapons, Fear, Harm, Heal, Lock, Magic Weapon, Mending, Protection, Purify Food and Water, Ray of Enfeeblement, Sanctuary, Spirit Link, Ventriloquism. And they will operate very similar to what you're used to in Dungeons and Dragons. So if you've played it before, the names are they're pretty much the same sort of thing. They might be described a little bit differently, but they work pretty much the same way. Okay. So once we've done that, we'll be pretty much done. What was the other thing I needed to make a note of here? So your Divine Font gives you additional healing or harm spells of this level. The number is equal to 1 plus your Charisma modifier. So for a Cleric, Charisma is actually still quite important. Not just Wisdom. Sanctuary and Heal. Okay. So we get a few different things, which is interesting. Most noticeably is like... Where is this? Might probably... Yep. Okay, so... You're doing right. How's it going, Itchy? So we're going to go Sanctuary. And we're going to go Heal. Hi, Fred. Does Pathfinder 2e have good spells? Or are they the same ones in 1e? I haven't played Pathfinder 1st Ed Edition for so long. And really the spells in Pathfinder 1st Ed Edition were basically the spells in 3.5. And for anybody who's looked at those spells, almost all of those spells are very similar in nature when you look at something like Advanced Dungeons and Dragons 2nd Ed Edition. And they haven't really changed. I mean, they changed a little bit in 5e. Most of the spells are pretty good. I think that the whole thing behind them is pretty much the same, if you ask me. Anyway, let's take these and slot them in. Heal and Sanctuary. Now, with Pathfinder, I think I got this right, but this is how it works. I have 2 first level spells. I have selected Heal and Sanctuary. That means one of these spells has to be Heal, and one of these spells has to be Sanctuary. I can't cast 2 heal spells. It doesn't operate like 5e where you have prepared spells and you can cast a first level spell from the prepared list. It's not as complicated as that. It's just you prepare this. So if you want to have heal twice, you could. I could take this away and I could dump heal over this again. So I could have 2 heal spells, or I could have 2 sanctuary spells if I really wanted to. Come on. No, it's not going to let me put it in. There we go. So you have to decide what you want to cast during that day, and that's what you get. It's very old school, if you ask me, which I was quite surprised to see in Pathfinder. Much to my surprise, it does exist. Okay. So we're all good there. We've got our spells. Oh, what's that, Itchy? Do you have more hope for Pathfinder being better than 5e? Is that why you have been focusing on it? Okay. All right. I'll tell you. Look. Okay, so you're getting down the nuts and bolts of this, aren't you? Okay, so I'm going to switch screens. We're going to go back to building the character, and I'll answer your question. I'll try to be fast, but we're going to go here. And since you've asked that question, I'm going to be as absolutely honest about the whole thing as possible. I like playing Dungeons and Dragons, and I have played Pathfinder, and it's really a clone of Dungeons and Dragons. I like playing other role-playing games, but Dungeons and Dragons for me is one of my favorites because it's fantasy, and I really like fantasy. But here's the thing. I find that almost all the games, whether it's Pathfinder 1st Edition or Pathfinder 2nd Edition, they all run into the same problems that Dungeons & Dragons 5e runs into, Dungeons & Dragons 4e runs into, and Dungeons & Dragons 3.5 runs into in version 3. It even runs into the same sorts of problems that we get with advanced Dungeons & Dragons, whether it's 1st Edition or 2nd Edition. And to a certain degree, it even runs into the same problems that basic or BECME Dungeons & Dragons has, as far as I'm concerned. And I have finally played a game of basic or BECME Dungeons & Dragons, which I hadn't done in the past. I played with Wally DM and some others. And that is, there's too much codification. It's got worse over time. I don't believe that Pathfinder is a better game than Dungeons & Dragons 5e. What Pathfinder 2nd Edition does is it codifies the role-playing game. Okay? So for those of you who really want you want to know that you can count on something working a particular way, they've taken a lot of the Dungeon Master or Game Master's adjudication isn't really applied because the game designers have tried to codify absolutely everything. So in one respect, it gives you a lot of codified options, but in another respect, it actually narrows down your choices because you can really only do what is codified in the book. So I don't believe it is a better game. I don't think that Pathfinder 2nd Edition is a better game than Dungeons & Dragons 5e or 4e or 3.5. It is just a different game. Pathfinder 2nd Edition, okay. Thank you, Shiner, for all of your help. I really do appreciate it. You've got to go. I'll see you later. So for me, Pathfinder 2nd Edition and Pathfinder 1st Edition and 3.5, they appeal to a certain type of person who likes to play a certain particular way, okay? And that's a person who likes complexity, can deal with complexity, and is looking for how things integrate, how things synergize. Whereas I think somebody who plays something like Dungeons & Dragons 5e or older versions of Dungeons & Dragons and some of the other role-play games out there, they're really looking for a slightly more narrative game, although I would say 5e is pretty codified as well. I know a lot of people would disagree with me, but I think actually 5e is pretty codified, just not as much as Pathfinder 2nd Edition, 1st Edition, or 3.5. Then you have 4e, and 4e is really, it's built there for people who are coming from video games and they need something that feels like the video game as their role-playing game. That's what they're looking for. So why am I doing all of these character building or character creation live streams on Pathfinder 2nd Edition? That's your question, Itchy, right? That's what you want to know. I'm doing character creation for Pathfinder 2nd Edition not because I plan to play Pathfinder 2nd Edition. I'm not doing it because I think it's a better game system. I'm not doing it because I prefer that game system, because I don't. I'm doing it because I want to give you a much broader look at role-playing games. Instead of just, for years I've been trying to get away from just doing Dungeons and Dragons. And this is a very sort of subtle, I mean, it's really, I suppose it's me trying to be subtle about trying to move away from Dungeons and Dragons without actually moving away from Dungeons and Dragons. Because if I make a shift too quickly and too hard, I've already felt the effect of trying to do that as it is. But if I suddenly shift too quickly, people are going to kind of freak out. Okay? So I would just like to, this channel has always been about how can I help you play the game you want to play. So if you want to play Pathfinder 2nd Edition, I'm doing these so that you know how to build a character and you don't feel overwhelmed. Because if I had to actually build a Pathfinder 2nd Edition character from this book, which has 600 pages in it, and try to wade my way through here and figure it out and do it with pen and pencil on a character sheet, I would never succeed. And I know a lot of other people would not succeed as well. So I found a piece of software, and really this is about showing you that even with my limited knowledge, and frankly I don't read very much of this book when I do these, I just set it up and use the website, and it takes you through that process very easily. We will eventually stop doing Pathfinder and I will move on to another game system. We will probably do some BECME or basic Dungeons and Dragons character creation. We will do some character creation for Dark Heresy, which is a Warhammer 40,000 role-playing game. We'll do some Fate character creation in the future. So I'm just trying to give you a much broader look at stuff so that you can learn how to play the games you want to play. So for me to do that, I have to learn some of that stuff along the way. So I felt like I could cope with this by using that software package. As I said, if I did not have that software package, or should I say that website, I could not do this successfully. I would find it too hard. So I'm taking this as this is like a beginner guide to Pathfinder. Okay? So I'm not doing it because I think it's a better game at all. I just want you to have the opportunity to try new things. That's what I want to do. Okay. So let's move on. Let's do some equipment while we still have a few people here. Let's actually do that. Let's do our equipment. So we've got our spells. No, actually, we were supposed to. I'm sure we were supposed to select some other stuff as well, but I can't find that. I was reading it a second ago. Let me have a look here. So here we go. Your Divine Font gives you additional healing or harm spells of this level. The number is equal to 1 plus your Charisma modifier, so that would be 4. So that is the, yeah, so that means that we probably should have access to a few more spells. And our Divine Font should give us access to those. So let's have a look and see if we can find this. Inventory, no. Details, no. It's not under notes. Administer, these are the different actions we have, which is listed. No, it's not there. Weapons, okay. Alright, so I feel like there is something that we are missing here along the way that I needed to do. But we're going to go and do our inventory. So let's get some gear. Let's get some equipment sorted out. Hashtag. What weapons and gear do we want? There we go. All right, so for those of you who are here, start shooting out some ideas and I'll do a search for them, see if I can find them. So let's have a look here. So okay, so yeah, so untrained in all armor, so we don't have armor training. And if we had selected a different doctrine, we would probably have gotten armor training, but we don't have armor training, so we don't have access to armor. We're going with a non-armored cleric right now by the looks because of the healing option. So it's a very different way of building a cleric. Something I wasn't actually expecting, but interesting. So what sort of stuff do you want to do? Look, we can go simple weapons. So anything that's a simple weapon we can select. We can have bedroll, stuff like that. I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to have a think about it and type some stuff in. If nobody types anything in, I will just do it myself. Okay? I'll just have a drink of water. I've been talking a lot right now. So for those of you who are wondering, like, how much longer before I am finished with Pathfinder, well, once we've covered all of the different classes for the for Pathfinder Second Edition, then I'm going to put this aside and I'm going to move on to a different system. That was always my intention. Okay. And at some point coming up, Morkbork or Merc Borky will probably be one of those role-playing games where we build a character. Okay, because there's a couple of different classes, there's a couple of different ways of doing it, and I'm hopefully going to be learning how to play that system in the future. Okay, so unless we get some choices, I'm just going to pick some stuff myself, and we'll go from there. So equipment, where are we? 270. God, such a huge book, this thing. Throw out some suggestions and I'll see if it's going to work, okay? It's gotten very quiet now that we've lost Shiner 81. Okay, so we're not going to worry about armor right now since we don't seem to have armor training, but we're going to go with some weapons that we can use. And simple weapons. Simple weapons are club, dagger, gauntlets, light mace, long spear, mace, morning star, sickle, spear, spiked gauntlets, and staff. If we want to use a ranged simple weapon, they are blowgun, crossbow, dart, hand crossbow, heavy crossbow, and javelin. So those are the choices. So given this, I think maybe we'll go with something that's let's go with something that's relatively lightly it's sort of reasonably standard. Let's go with something standard. We'll just go with a mace. And so unless somebody has a different choice, let's just go with a mace. A goblin flick mace. It'd be tempting, but no, we'll just go with a standard mace. It's not very expensive, so we've got our flick mace. Another item. Let's get a ranged weapon. Let's just get a crossbow. Nope. Buy. There we go. We have our crossbow. Some basic gear. So backpack maybe. Backpack. We can put that in. Let's buy that. We probably need to have some bolts for our quiver. Let's get a quiver and buy that, and we'll probably need some bolts to go with the quiver for the crossbow. Bolts 10. Let's buy that. We can take the bolts. Where are they? Here. And we can move them to the quiver and store them. Okay, and we'll move that. We'll do that now. So they're sitting inside there. Next, what else? We want a bedroll. Since we're doing some adventuring, we'll probably need something like that. We can grab ourselves a what's another thing that might be really useful along the way? What about some caltrops? There we go, caltrops. Always nice to throw those down. Caltrops are just code for sorry, just code for, here we go, let's move it to our backpack. Move. Caltrops are just Legos basically, aren't they? Alright, next. What else could we grab? That we probably need some rations. So we can grab some rations. And we can put our rations into a backpack by hitting here and going to the backpack and moving it over to there. So this is to stop the weight limit going up and up and up. You've got to store it in the backpack, otherwise it's going to do that. What else can we grab here that's adventuring gear that might be useful? Probably good to have a backup weapon. So we can have a, unlike older versions of D&D, Pathfinder 2nd edition allows you to use a sharp blade. So we could have a sickle or we could have a dagger. I think the reason why I would go with the dagger is it's a finesse weapon. And it's do slashing damage, but we can use it for cutting something. So that would be helpful as well. A sickle is kind of in the same vein, but it doesn't have quite the same sort of benefit. So let's just go with let's grab a dagger. There we go, simple dagger, we can buy that. That gives us a few more options in terms of attacking with melee. And we've got our ranged weapon. And then let's go with some adventuring gear, something that would be suitably interesting. And here we go. We've got a list here. I can have a quick look through this, and if you guys come up with anything, you let me know. We've got caltrops. We don't... Do we... Oh, okay. Chalk. We could probably get some chalk. Why not? For those of you who don't know, I did a series on mundane equipment. You know, like, what can you do with mundane equipment in your adventures? So I'm big on loading yourself up with mundane equipment because I think it's really useful. I think there's a place to be had for using it. It's not very heavy, but we'll still put it in our backpack so we can pull it out later on. And we just move that over. And then we don't need a chest. A climber's kit. Well, a climber's kit is expensive. It's also kind of heavy and bulky. So what we will do is, I think what we'll do is we'll leave that alone. We won't grab the climber's kit unless somebody says so. We can get a compass though, much to my surprise. Has anybody noticed that the concept of a compass doesn't seem to come up very often in your games, and yet we can get a compass here. So let's get a compass. We don't want to get lost, so now we have a compass. It's expensive, the compass, but hey, I think it's all worth it. If we can avoid getting lost in the wilderness, then let's do that. So we'll put our compass in our backpack for now. And then what else? We've got a crowbar. Yes, crowbars. You always want to have crowbar. If we need to open something, crowbar. Crowbar. So we haven't maxed out our limits yet, so that's good. We still we're not overloaded or anything like that. So crowbar. We can actually put the crowbar in our backpack. Just move it over, change that, and go move. So it's not gone. So those of you who are looking at this and thinking, oh, hang on, what's happened? Well, the backpack is there. If we open it, this is all the stuff in our backpack. Okay, we can close the backpack so these items are not gone, they're not lost. Okay, we can open the money pouch, and there's our money. If we open the quiver, there's our bolts. So they're not lost. Don't feel like they've disappeared. They haven't. What else can we grab here that might be useful to us? Potentially a disguise kit would be nice. We probably can't get too expensive about this, but maybe we can get a disguise kit, because I feel like if we're kind of like a charlatan, it would make sense. Let's get a disguise kit. Disguise kit. There we go. Let's get a disguise kit. Let's buy that. Bit on the pricey side, but we still got money, so let's just grab this. Let's put this in our backpack so it's stored away. There you go. It's still there. It's not gone. And we could grab a fishing tackle if we wanted to, or we could leave that for now. We've got rations. Maybe some rope would be a good idea. Rope. Even if we're not going to get a climber's kit, we probably want to at least have some rope. So let's buy some rope. Okay. And again, we can put this into our backpack by just going here and moving it. Okay. All I do is click on that bar, and it allows me to bring up that menu. We probably want a grappling hook to go with that as well, I would say. Ropes aren't very much good unless you have a grappling hook. So grappling hook, there it is. And we'll buy our grappling hook. Not very expensive. You'll notice the prices are very different to what you're used to in Dungeons and Dragons. Pathfinders price things out differently. I think actually their prices for equipment is much more sensible. But I mean, it's personal preference, right? I mean, ultimately, in the end, it's all make-believe money, so it doesn't matter. We also get, there's a thing called a healer's tools, and I think we should get the healer's tools. So let's get the healer's tools. So nobody's made any suggestions, so I'm going to get the healer's tools. What are the healer's tools? So this is a kit of bandages, herbs, searcher tools, necessary for a medicine check, when you administer first aid, treat disease, treat poison, treat wounds. When you carry these tools from place to place, you keep many of the components handy on your person, in pockets and a bandolier. So we're going to grab this. I think we should grab, since we're buying it. Yes, we are. Okay, so that's pretty much all of our money gone. I don't know if we've got much left. We might be able to get some torches, just so that we don't wind up walking around in the dark. Although we have dark vision, it doesn't mean that you don't want to have a torch. And it might have to be a lantern, because I don't know if they've got torches here. Let's see if I can type in torch and find torch. Yes, there is torches. So we'll at least grab one torch for now. Okay, so our healer's kit is done. What have I done here? Did I buy it? Or did I not buy it? Torch, 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 torch. No, I'm missing it. Let's buy it again. Buy. Okay, there we go. There's our torch. So we'll leave our torch out. We'll take our healer's kit and we'll move it to our backpack for now. And we've mostly spent all of our money. So our character's ready to go. Now, before we disappear, for those of you who are worried about, like, what if I need to calculate numbers for my attacks with my weapons and stuff like that? Well, your armor class is a 15. It's right over here. Okay, we're wearing no armor right now. So it's very simple. Even if you had armor, you would simply select the little icon that has a picture of the armor or the body, and that will assign the armor class bonuses automatically to your armor class or AC. So that will change that number, but we don't have that in this case. But with your spells, all your information on your spells is here, easily accessible. Your weapons, all of the attack modifiers or bonuses that you get when you're rolling your 20-sided dice are all listed for your crossbow, your dagger, your fists, improvised weapons, and your mace. So that's all done. How much damage they do is listed here. So you just roll a 4-sided dice plus 1 for your dagger or your fist. Improvised weapons is a 1d6 plus 1, and your mace is a 1d6 plus 1. Okay, crossbow is going to be just a 8-sided dice. There's no additional benefit. You don't add anything else with a crossbow, and that gives you the range. Okay, and then all your actions are there, and that's pretty much it. You've got your character built. You've done all the hard work. If I can do this, you can do this. It's not that difficult. Okay, and I know very little really about character creation outside of I've watched maybe a couple of videos, looked a little bit in the book, but not that much. So this is very much from the perspective of a complete new person with regard to like how you'd go about building a Pathfinder character. So I have not gone and done a lot of research because I knew most of you probably don't have the time or the inclination to spend hours and hours learning from a book how to do this. Okay. All right, so apparently my chat was not keeping up with everybody's suggestions here. I do apologize. Let me just see if I can just scroll down. So you guys have been pumping in ideas the whole time, and I haven't seen any of this. Mess kit, soap, chalk, pitons. I'm sorry about that, people. This is another problem with tracking your conversation on my phone, is it doesn't keep up sometimes. Okay, because I thought it was too advanced for me, but now I see you're doing it for beginners. Yeah, so actually, this is it. My channel has always been about trying to get beginners into stuff, and so I decided when everything kind of fell apart at the beginning of the year around the open game license, that I would try looking at introducing people to new games. And that meant I had to learn new games, but it also meant that I could at least present older games that I had played that may not be getting used that much nowadays, but that people might be interested in. And so I'm going to keep doing this. It'll take me a little while to learn new systems, but if I can figure it out, you can. 10-foot pole. We can add a 10-foot pole. I can do that right now, probably. I do apologize. I didn't realize that people were pumping information in there. I just couldn't see anything. 10-foot pole. We'll just buy that now and add that in. Done. It's 1 copper. Cheap as. Throwing javelins. Oh, gosh. Throwing javelins. Maybe I'll just jump back here. Let's just jump back here. My phone is at least finally caught up a little bit with you. And I was all ready to disappear. Javelin. Javelin. Let's grab a javelin. Buy a javelin. There we go. We've got a javelin. It will calculate our javelin attack and damage for us, so that's all good. What else was there that was on this list that people had put down? A mess kit, soap, chalk. I think we had chalk already. Soap. Mess kit. I don't know if we're going to be able to afford a mess kit now. Oh, that's right. I don't think there is a mess kit. That's right. Apparently they don't have a mess kit, or it's not called that in this game system. But soap. Yes, we can get soap. We'll get a bar of soap. Let's buy that. Got our 10-foot pole. Yes, yeah. So there is a lot of customization. Like I wouldn't freak out too much that you don't have armor coming out of the bat as a cleric, because there is a divine font that would allow you to have that. It's just we selected the healing one rather than the other divine font. So that's probably that's it. Okay. Crowbar, ball bearings. I don't know if they have ball bearings in this system, but we'll have a quick look. No ball bearings. That's right. Hammer. We might find a hammer. Yep, we can grab a hammer. Okay, we're almost out of money. I'm assuming you want something else as well. Sacks. Sack, a lock. I don't know if we're going to get a lock. Poor lock. Probably going to have to be a poor lock. No, not enough money. We're down to our last little 52 copper pieces. We're not really going to get very much more at that point. I think we're out of options at that stage. Okay, so let's. So yeah, I didn't realize. Oh gosh, I wish I'd just updated the phone and I would have spotted all your suggestions. That would have been lovely. Because I thought I was all alone for a second there. Okay, so next, Pale Rider is a cleric. It's a cleric. Where are you, AJ? Well, AJ's busy. I would imagine that as a result of we were doing, what was it? We were building a list of furniture for castles a couple of days ago. I think AJ's probably gone off on a bender doing that. Probably making up like 52 pages of different things you can find in castles and various locations. I had suggested he go and do the monster stuff for monster creation, and I'm sure he will. He's probably doing that. He's probably working. Grappling hook, 4 sacks, yes. Oil flasks, yes, we ran out of money. You have inspired me a fondness of mundane equipment. Yes, I'm glad to hear it. Good. My character right now is making full use of his carrying capacity, as you should. As you should, absolutely. 10 pieces of chalk, yeah. I mean, let's get real. I mean, you're not going to run out of chalk if you've got 10 pieces of chalk. You're probably not going to use it that often, unless you're very creative or you've watched one of my videos on chalk. Then maybe you will. Have you ever used the lock in D&D? Yes, I have. We've used the lock to lock doors where it's possible. Sometimes it doesn't come up very often. I wouldn't say I've used it a lot, but it has come up occasionally. Manacles, like, cuffs, handcuffs, I've used those a lot in games. Rather than tying people up with rope, manacles are good. It's okay. I didn't realize subscriber only mode was on. Maybe that's why I subscribe. But yeah, so yes, I leave my live streams on subscriber mode only. You need to be subscribed for 5 minutes. And the reason being is to keep the bots and the sex bots out. It's also another, it's supposed to entice people who are new to actually subscribe so they can give feedback in the live chat. Do you know what I mean? I got to get people interested somehow. That's my go-to on that one. In any case, I'm going to be heading over to... Will I be heading over to Discord? I don't know. I might be over at Discord today for a little while. Maybe in about 5 or 10 minutes I'll head over there, and you're welcome to come and chat with me in a voice chat or a video chat that I'll be putting up. Really up to you. If you're too busy doing other things, I totally understand. I will be back tomorrow to cover variant rules. So we're going to be covering basic variant rules. So different types of dice, different types of game mechanics, but at the very sort of at the beginning stage rather than into the combat stage, and how to resolve various actions and decisions in a role-playing game using something else other than just a 20-sided dice roll. So there are other ways of doing it, and I have used a few of them, so I thought I would at least discuss them and demonstrate as well. So I will just send you an invite in the chat for those of you who want to come and hang out. And there we go. That is my Discord, and I'll be putting that up pretty soon. Let's have a look at our poll today. And have you made a Cleric character for Pathfinder 2nd Edition? No, 88%. Just watching, 11%. Yes, 0%. Incomplete, 0%. So most of you who are watching have never made a Pathfinder 2nd Edition character. There we go. I'm not suggesting you go play the game, but maybe try it out and see what you think. You never know. You might find it's your kettle of fish. Or maybe you decide that it's definitely not your kettle of fish, and I've helped you along that journey. I don't know. We'll see. But in any case, I am done for this live stream. I'll be back again tomorrow. So big, huge thank you to my patrons who support me on Patreon so I can keep running this program. I want to thank everybody who took part in the poll today. I do appreciate it. A huge thank you for those of you who have been watching the live stream or rewatching it and taking part. So big thank you to Itchy, Pale Rider, and certainly to Shiner81. Without Shiner81, I'd pretty much be talking to myself the entire time today. Maybe this is an indication that really the interest in Pathfinder on my channel is very, very limited. But in any case, I'm still going to complete this series and then we'll move on to something else. So yeah, huge thank you for those of you who hung out with me today. So wherever you are in the world, whether it be the morning, the afternoon, the night, or the wee early morning, please look after yourself, your family, and your friends. Be nice to your neighbours. And hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s. Or whatever dice you want to roll.